Okay, come closer. Grab a hand and give a hug. We're all here as dykes, as lesbians, as bisexuals, as trans, and as allies. Let's celebrate.
Lesbianating in Berkeley Square.
Our invisibility has been a real tragedy and challenge and crime. I'm going to ask the question I always ask. Hands up those of you who, when you were at school, there was something positive said about lesbians. Let's see how many hands actually go up. 1. That is a crime. That is an outrage. We are lying to our children every day when we deny the reality of lesbian and gay and bisexual and trans people in our world. They have existed right the way back to the beginning of time. We are not a brand new idea. Dykes have been around all our lives. Even the British Museum has finally agreed to that. So let's celebrate the longevity of women loving women. They haven't always been called lesbians, they haven't always been called dykes, but they are there. The most famous, perhaps, is Sappho. Wonderful poet. And wasn't Roz's poem wonderful? Oh, the joy of disappointed love. I think that was a really powerful moment. Talking of love, my partner isn't here today because she has to fly off on Monday because her relative is ill. But we had our first date 25 years ago on a lesbian strength march. Jean sends her love. So, Sappho, amazing poet, lyricist, and lover of women, and brought a whole load of women together on the Isle of Lesbos, which is how we get our name lesbian. And how many, shockingly, do I meet lesbians who don't know the history of Sappho? Anne Lister. Hands up those who know Anne Lister. Oh, good. Whoa, wait, we're getting there. Fabulous, interesting woman. Wrote in her diary, in code, and it's taken ages for us to discover her, but she's there. She's doing all sorts of things. Eva Gore Booth. Now, there's an interesting name. Anybody know her? Irish, suffragette, disabled, amazing writer and worker. Dyke, out and proud. Ethel Smythe. Who knows Ethel Smythe? Just a few. You are about to know a lot more. Wave, Ellie. Ellie's going to be leading LGBT History Month in Birmingham, and in February, LGBT History Month is going to be focusing on music. And we have two women that we are headlining. Ethel Smythe was a musician, a composer, and a suffragette. Now here's a lie. How many of you, well obviously none of you were, hundreds of suffragettes were women-loving women. We've just had the wonderful Wilding Festival looking at Emily Wilding Davis. I'm convinced she was a woman-loving woman. But it was never mentioned. The assumption that they're all heterosexual drives me furious. How dare they? Women-loving women are out there doing wonderful and exciting things. So look out for Ethel Smythe. She was a great woman. She had hundreds of lovers. Emily Pankhurst, Virginia Woolf, you know, she was there. Absolutely. Now, Barbara Burford. I wonder if how many people here met Barbara Burford. Yes? Feminata. Wonderful black woman, writer, performer, activist, did amazing work around equalities and was disabled, and we lost her 2 or 3 years ago, but she was an amazing woman and very close to me, and it was a great loss. Frida Kahlo. How many of you know Frida Kahlo? Yay! Amazing artist, and uses her biography, her disability, the fact that she was in an appalling accident, and her sexuality in her artwork, and it's there. But shockingly, so many schools teach Frida Kahlo, but don't mention her sexuality. It's outrageous. Jackie Kay. How many of you know Jackie Kay? Well, goddess, a lot of you are going to be discovering more wonderful dykes. Jackie Kay, out and proud, an amazing black woman, poet, mother, writer, playwright, stunning, Scottish, has an amazing accent, and when she's reading, it just takes your breath away. Find her. James Miranda Barry. Anybody know James Miranda Barry? One face there, one couple of you. She was possibly our first woman doctor, but she could have been trans. We're not clear. Nobody knew that she was a woman until she died, and then they discovered, oops, oh, we thought she was a man. She was in the army as a surgeon. It's amazing what women will do because they're not allowed to do things. They will don all sorts of things and get out there and do it. Natasha Kai, US soccer star, who represented the US in the Women's World Cup as well as the 2008 Olympics. Don't start me on lesbians in sport, it is a disaster. How many lesbians are out and proud in sports? So few. The shocking thing is that frequently it's because heterosexual women say, please don't come out, because otherwise they all think we're all dykes. Well, why not be proud of being a dyke? Or be an ally to a dyke, which we all are here, which is so wonderful. Claire Harvey. Who knows Claire Harvey? Good. Okay, Claire ran the sitting basketball team in the Olympics. Very strong, very wonderful, out and proud as a dyke. One of the very few lesbians who are out and proud from the English Olympic team. Brittany Griner. Who's clocked Brittany? Black lesbian basketball star. Amazing. At the very beginning of her career, she dares to come out. 2 weeks later, a black guy who's at the end of his career comes out, and everybody falls over with excitement. Excuse me, Brittany did it 2 weeks ago and is at the beginning of her career. Goddess, patriarchy reigns and we all get wet. And of course, at the moment, we have a lesbian poet laureate. Fan-bloody-tastic. Now, we're here because we're queer, because we're genderqueer, because we're lesbians, because we're dykes, because we're gay, because we're bi, because we're trans. We're here to make ourselves visible. My guess is every one of us at some stage in our lives have suffered discrimination, harassment, or abuse. We're here today to make that statement that we're here, that we're proud, and that we are not alone. We are not alone from all the way down the ages, and we are not alone all across the world. Femi made it very clear just the amazing journey that we have made. And yes, in this country, we are amazingly fortuitous with the legislation that we have. But remember, we had to fight for it. There are those of us who bear the scars of fighting long and hard against the ridiculosity that was the patriarchal legal system in this country. We still suffer the horrendousment of Section 28. The appalling thing is that we are now seeing Section 28 in different guises around the world. In Russia, in Czechoslovakia, no, I can't remember where it is in Eastern Europe, I'll get it wrong, I'm sorry. But it's there. The assumption that we can feel that we are now safe is a dangerous one. We need to keep very vigilant to make sure that we keep the legal situations that we have here, and we need to make sure that the appalling situations that are happening across the world and where our sisters are getting attacked and shat on and raped is changed. We march today in celebration, yes. Thrillment that we are here, thrillment that we are with our sisters. We also march in anger to challenge the patriarchal shit that is dumped on our sisters across the world. Let's march, let's celebrate, let's fight.